welcome to Libra season. This is going to be a video about the astrology for Libra season and October 2021. I will be going through that astrology in detail, sign by sign. That will be time stamped in the description box for each sign. But I'm also going to talk about the beauty of the sign of Libra and Libra season itself, and how maybe on a collective level we can tap into the Libran energy. So first and foremost, let's talk about the symbol of Libra. It's the scales. So to me, Libra season represents a time and a sign of recalibration, reflection. There's an exercise I really like to do, not just in Libra season, but like overall, even like every 3-4 months I would do this, where I will, let's say, just put my name in the middle of a page or the date, and then from that, like hands on a clock, I will write out a couple of words that will kind of look like a circle shape around the page. And these will be words like, but you can obviously fill in your own, whatever you think. I will say things like family, happiness, or personal fulfillment, self-fulfillment. Health will be another one. I will do finances, career, personal relationships like romance and close friendships. I'll do my spirituality. And then, I don't know, maybe time spent outdoors, just kind of things like that. And you can do whatever you think is important for you. And from the middle of where today's date is on the page, you can kind of put that as 1 being like least satisfied, and out towards the title like family, you can put the number 10 closest to that. So then what I do is I go around my circle and kind of, this is to recalibrate basically and bring balance into your life and restore balance. What I'll do is I will check where between 1 and 10, like 1 being not satisfied at all, 10 being couldn't be going better, and I will plot a little dot or a number between those, kind of in that numerical order. And then what you will be able to do after you've done that for each of your times on the clock in the form of like a heading for a part of your life, you'll be able to draw a circle. And kudos to you if you can ever kind of complete a pretty even circle, because it's very difficult to achieve satisfaction in every single area of your life at every single given time, basically. Libra knows this. Some Libras, as part of their soul evolution as a Libra sun, is learning to really understand this and embody it. But then basically what I noticed was when I did this just before this exercise, or this video, I had been traveling last month, and when I did this in August, I noticed that my family part of my circle was really, it was not part of the circle. It was quite low down. I hadn't seen family in a long time. And my finances were really great, so you know, that was good. So I went home and I spent about 2 weeks at home in Ireland, and I traveled there from the States where I'm living. And when I got back and did my circle today, my family time had been restored all the way up to 10. I had a great time reconnecting with people, very Libra. I was very in tune with the Libra season vibes, and at the end of September, spending time like one-to-one conversations rather than part of a big group. And then I noticed though my finances are way back down, but you know what? I had a really good time. I had put aside money to enjoy this trip with my family. It's the ebb and flow of life is basically what I noticed when I did this chart. So that's kind of a fun exercise to do. Life ebbs and flows. It's really like you really have to put a lot of effort into a certain area of your life for it to go well sometimes, and sustain that effort, and then meanwhile other things can change. But basically what I'm saying is it's a nice time to kind of see where you may need to apply a little bit more focus and care in an area of your life, and what's doing well, and maybe, you know, you can take a breather there and just like manage it, like, I don't know, a little bit more easily. And so then I got to thinking about another very important theme of Libra, the sign, relationships, and the other in life. So the sister sign of Libra is Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac. So really just born the body, the self into the world, and like screaming, crying like a baby, like, I'm here, I'm here. That's Aries to me. Libra is going to be more refined as it has the sun has kind of evolved through many signs at this point, and Libra then has made space and time for the other in their life. So Libra to me is temperamentally like a very conscious partner. They really know how to make a relationship work. And now that is not to say that Libras will not have relationship difficulties. You have to look at a whole chart for that. I'm just talking about the kind of essence and quality of some of the Libran themes that I'm thinking are important right now with the alignment in the cosmos, which I will get to the astrology. Thinking about personal relationships, like thinking about your consciousness in this relationship, like, or are you just kind of like bashing through life together without really like considering things like, are we growing together, or do we understand each other, do we make space for each other? Communication, of course, trust, not being controlling of one another. All of those things, of course, are just it's important to tap into them. And it doesn't just have to be like in your romantic relationships, like Libra rules business partnerships and really any significant one-to-one relationship. These are not people you date in Libra's kind of sphere in the zodiac. So we're thinking marriage, we're thinking business partnerships, we're thinking people that we're in domestic relationships with, or a best friend we've had for 20 years. That's really a Libra type of relationship in terms of astrology. Okay, so all of these things to me are like paramentally Venusian as well. So Venus is Libra's ruler. So I think about the soul purpose of some Libra. So we're born into the world basically traumatized, right? If not traumatized through birth, from past lives, right? At this stage, we have screaming baby Aries, your sister sign Libra. That is, you know, all about the self. And like they're not really at a baby's age, and Aries aren't babies, but they have the energy and gusto of like pioneering spirit of a baby, and like there's no stopping like their curiosity and eagerness to make themselves part of this world. But Libra at that point has kind of evolved. I don't know, they're looking for something a little bit more than screaming. They're looking for serenity, I think. And they are like looking for harmony, internal, external harmony. That's the scales again, the balance, the yin and the yang. Oh my gosh, shout out to my Libra friend Paula, if you're watching this. You are the quintessential Libra, and it's a pleasure to be around you because of your yin yang balance and chef's kiss, because being around a balanced Libra sun, or just the qualities of a Libra, is just it's balanced. You feel the calm, you feel the serenity, and like the feminine qualities of the Libra. And I'm thinking of you, Paula. I'm thinking of obviously your aesthetic beauty first and foremost when I think of these feminine qualities of Venus presented like this, but I'm also thinking of that feminine, like knowing that they deserve the bounty and the abundance that life has to offer, and that other people have to offer, and that their connections have to offer, and that nature has to offer even, and art. And then you're cool, collected, unfazed, and well thought through opinions, and a non-judgmental yang energy of that balance. Oh, it is so good. The Libra soul purpose, one of the purposes of the sun, Libra sun, there's obviously many, but for me, this Libra season, because of some of the astrology that's going down, I have wanted to more so talk about the theme of serenity. I think we need serenity. October is going to be a more astrologically intense month. You're going to be starting the month of October. Mars, the Sun and Mercury in the sign of Libra. And I'll get into the astrology, and I'm going to actually do the astrology. I won't bore you with it here collectively. We'll do it just what applies to your rising sign by sign. Now remember, astrology to be accurate for a monthly horoscope must be read from the rising sign for greater accuracy. So we're born into the world with trauma. Libra's like, how? My soul purpose, I need to like make this external life complementary to my internal peace that I'm striving to achieve, basically. And how does the Libra do it? Well, very gracefully, of course, very elegantly. Like Libra needs this kind of like stimulation of sound, colors, movement, attractively, like compiled together, like, and just spending time in nature or with amongst art. I don't know, whatever floats your boat, but that's to achieve serenity, external and internal. That's really important. Aesthetic beauty is really important. To the collective, of course, it's a gift and it's something that should always be celebrated. But Libra knows that beauty has to be, or let's say not beauty, grace. Grace is a perfect word to describe Libra. Grace and serenity can be achieved. How does Libra do it so elegantly, I guess? Libra can sometimes appear to be a more shadowy energy, can be overly people-pleasing, like synth energy. For the most part, that's deeply misunderstood, and when people see this people-pleasing qualities of Libra, sometimes it can appear I don't know, maybe not to be genuine, but I really kind of have seen a deeper side of that. Personally, in my personal interactions with Libra, it really is to bring about balance. It's so everybody can be seen and heard. Now, whether or not the Libra just agrees with you, and most often you will think that they do, they are an agreeable sign. Just think that that's just to bring harmony. That's what the balance is for. And like, thank you, Libra, you're doing that for us too. It's not just selfishly, like for Libra to find balance and harmony in life, everybody has to be seen, heard, happy. And like, if there's somebody sitting at a table like I am now, I would put between a more difficult two-party guest, I would probably put a Libra rising, but a Libra energy, more specifically a Libra rising, probably, because if we're at a party, we'll be in our rising sign energy. But I would put a Libra person beside more confrontational people. Of course, it's okay to disagree, but like, save it for a more socially acceptable time. And that's very Libra. Politeness, manners, great, creating just very zen surroundings for everybody. The vibes. You have nailed the vibes, Libra. Okay, I'm trying to think, is there anything else? Before we get to the astrology, I'm thinking about social justice being a theme of Libra. Why I say serenity is important this month, well, we do have a Mercury retrograde in Libra. I'll get into that in the individual astrology, but obviously that is known to be not a very pleasant time for interactions, or like a greater likelihood for miscommunications to occur from everyone's angle. And in the sign of Libra, which is normally very like, normally Mercury in Libra operates very well, and we just have like really good conversations where we reach agreements and settlements and greater understanding. Libra is a very empathetic sign, and it's less of an emotional empathy, like, so they're not necessarily absorbing all of the feeling and like the physical like effect of absorbing emotion, but like they can really understand all points of view, and that's their like more intelligent empath, I suppose, and very understanding, very open-minded. That's one of my personal favorite things about Libras, the Libras in my life anyway. Oh yeah, so I just wanted to talk about the serenity because of course this is my Gemini Mars mind in action, and my Aries Venus, or Aries Mercury rather, how I'm spewing it out, but this is because I'm like, yeah, we have this Mercury retrograde in Libra, so we need the serenity. We have Mars in Libra, and at the start of the month, on the 6th of October, we're going to have Mars conjunct the new moon in Libra, so Sun, Moon, Mars, all in the same sign in Libra. We'll need some calming down, thinking of the theme of serenity, and like letting everybody be heard, like give everybody a chance to speak, no shouting over each other. Justice, the tarot card, justice being a huge theme of Libra, social justice. I'm thinking about that this month too. I'm thinking about social justice issues, like just obviously creeping up in a crescendo basically as time has been going on this year. I am talking about a asteroid, actually it's a dwarf planet I believe, called Aries. And Aries is the archetype of the feminine warrior. So Mars's sister Aries is kind of like rambunctious, confrontational, but not for the sake of it, of course not. It's to do something about something. So that really is that feminine warrior archetype. So speaking out about people that are disenfranchised in society currently. And that is because Aries was a mythological goddess that was not invited to the wedding, to a party that was just celebrating all of the gods and goddesses in Olympus. But because Aries had already gained a reputation of being like very a bad gal basically, but it wasn't just this for like boldness for the sake of being bold. Like Aries had wanted to create change and wanted to kind of I don't know, maybe she was just a feisty kind of person for the most part, but they left her out of a party, so then she became the archetype for the uninvited in society and in the uninvited in our birth chart, in astrology, all of those kind of things. That's the archetype. And Mars is opposite Eris, like in the sign of Libra this month, because Eris has been in Aries for 100 years now, really gathering momentum there. And so Eris's energy is only really going to be felt when it's activated, and a transiting planet is used as kind of like a catalyst for Eris's energy to ripple out. And rippling out effect is kind of something I think about with Eris, because Eris then, when she was left out of this wedding, she decided to bow and arrow a golden apple into the party to cause a disturbance and to cause a little bit of chaos, right? But what actually happened was it sort of became the first beauty pageant. And that's so funny that this is like happening around this Libra season video, because Libra, if any astrological zodiac sign represents beauty pageants, it has to be Libra, right? I think even more so than Leo. I think specifically beauty on show as a talent or a gift would be more Libra than Leo. Okay, so we've got our beauty pageant energy, and that's what actually Eris ended up doing. She didn't plan on doing that. She created hysteria, and everyone wanted the golden apple then. So it was like a prize, and it was all these beautiful gods and goddesses there competing for this prize. So what I'm thinking now about this ripple is like an action like that ripples out, and so anything you do ripples out. And we often think about, well, there's no point in me saying something about that, like what good would that be? There's no point in me reporting this, like would they even take this seriously? So we have to try and stay grounded and rooted in our power, and Eris reminds us that no action is too small. Stand up for what you believe in, speak out with an intention of doing something about something, especially concerning those that are disenfranchised, marginalized, or uninvited in society, like Eris was. Okay, I'm trying to think if there's anything else before getting to the other bits and bobs. Oh yeah, I have just a little note. Cardinal air is extremely ambitious. Libra cardinal ambition is underrated because it's mental, and they are bursting with ideas, and they have a lot of ideas and a vision. Libra has the vision, and Libra has the dream, and Libra has the intelligence to just make this happen. So constructing kind of meaningful ideas now would be a good time in Libra season for us all. Constructing meaningful opinions, and like, you know, Libra, you can be sometimes afraid to speak out about your opinion, as not because you don't think that it's you don't doubt the truth or validity, or your truth at least, and validity to this opinion. You're confident in it. It's well thought out. It's meaningful too. It's just that you're afraid that you'll offend somebody. So that can be something that we should be able to try and balance this month. Okay, I'm going to move on now to the astrology for each sign. Please try and read this from your rising sign if you can. And if not, have a look at your sun sign. That's absolutely no problem. There will be themes here that could be coming up. It will be more accurate from the rising sign position. It's really easy to find out your rising sign. If you know your birth time, just type it into a search engine that you use and you'll be able to find out. Let's get into this astrology, guys. Thanks for watching, and happy birthday to all the Libras out there still to celebrate, and happy belated birthday to the September Libras gone by. Aries rising. Okay, so a new moon on the 6th of October in your house of relationships actually really represents a portal for potentially new dating seen to emerge, a relationship to emerge, a new business partnership to emerge, a new friendship to emerge. I think maybe something around business could be emerging for Aries rising around the 6th, 7th of October. At least, if not, it's a great time to actually initiate something, manifest something, write something down, start to attune in your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs, your plans into this goal around maybe a new business venture, a new romantic relationship, if there are things that you're looking for in your life at this time. Mars is there too. The Sun and Moon are going to be in the same place as Mars that same day. So Mars is really giving, that's your ruling planet, Aries. Mars is really giving you that oomph, that direction, and that kind of drive to really initiate something with somebody else, with another in your life, even if it's an important conversation with a loved one or a business associate or business partnership person. But just remember that it is Mercury retrograde, so just be very clear and concise about what you're saying to mitigate any kind of miscommunications, which are more likely to occur. 9th and 10th, the Sun meet up and joins your sister sign in Libra and opposes your ascendant. This will be especially felt, these kind of themes that I've just discussed, for people with a 13 to 19 degrees Aries rising. So you will feel, these people, especially with 13 to 19 degrees Aries rising, more strong feelings of tension, passions, and drama in personal relationship. You're easily riled up. And I'm thinking now, like, if you met somebody at the beginning of October around the new moon, you might sort of see that this relationship ends up being very passionate. But I would definitely watch out to make sure, because Mercury was retrograde there might have been some mixed messages, that this relationship isn't just based around sex and physical passion. If you're looking for something more, probably feeling a little bit more egotistical or competitive this month, because Mercury is retrograde in your 7th house, and that's opposite your 1st house. So you're kind of like thinking a bit about exerting yourself into the world. This can come across though sending the wrong message because of Mercury retrograde, so just kind of be careful. Venus will move into your 9th house of travel, fun, kind of like big picture thinking. Basically the mundane won't be as interesting to you this month. You'll just want to have fun and maybe like plan some trips now, or even like go on a trip. Like maybe you'll be on a trip this month. The full moon in your sign, Aries, is on the 20th of October. So a full moon, I feel like this is now representing like a turning point for you in how you're expressing yourself to the world, wrapping up a phase of like, maybe it's like an exercise or diet regime at this point, but you're ending up something, you're closing a door on something around like how you present yourself to the world, physically or even mentally, or how you share ideas. Taurus rising. So the new moon in Libra on the 6th of October is taking place in your 6th house of routine, physical health, and of your day job. This is going to be a good time to initiate a new regimen around maybe fitness, around your routine, around like making a better schedule for yourself on a daily basis. And you may kind of even feel like a new beginning around this, like you're starting a new series of classes, you're starting something new that's going to change your weekly schedule in a way. And then really when Mars, Mercury, and the Sun and Moon are all at play in a bigger way around the 9th and 10th in your 6th house, Libra, Taurus rising, are going to be focusing a little bit more on the like mundane parts of life. Like I'm thinking like, filing things and organizing your schedule, getting back to emails, like you're just like more focused on like the mundane day-to-day routine kind of things. Also around the beginning of October until around even the 14th, from the start to around the 14th, like you are kind of thinking a little bit more about your physical body. And at the same time, your mental health, because the new moon is happening in your 6th house, more of your physical health. The full moon on the 20th of October in the sign of Aries is going to be happening in Taurus Rising's 12th house of mental health. So think about what you're initiating at the beginning of the month, Taurus. By the end of the month, around the 20th, 21st of October, do you feel better mentally because you've made changes physically, or you've improved your schedule or your routine at the beginning of the month, and for that reason you are just feeling so much more calm, so much more inner peace, and kind of more balanced mentally? Taurus rising, your chart ruler Venus moves into the 8th house, into Sagittarius, on October 8th. This is good, I think. Any kind of if you felt like in general your relationships have been improving now, like less tension in your relationships as of late, Taurus rising, you are now going to see this even deepen and become more intimate and even connected on a deeper level over the next 4 weeks. Have a great month this month, Taurus rising. Gemini rising, this is a really fun month ahead for dating and romance. So there is a new moon in the sign of Libra, and that's going to be in your 5th house of fun, creative self-expression, sex and dating. And that is going to be making a trine harmonious aspect to your rising. So that's going to be creating like more flow, more ease, like more harmonious opportunity for dating and romance and everything. So if you're not noticing around the 6th, 7th of October, Gemini rising, that basically you're getting more attention, you're still very like feeling fun, you're feeling like there's new beginnings possible for you in terms of dating. In particular, on the 8th of October, Venus is going to enter Sagittarius, which is your sister sign, Gemini. So that's the 7th house of partnerships, is where you've got Sagittarius. This is really good. So we're going to have a bit of a push-pull between you and a person in your life, a significant person in your life. Overall, the vibes are really harmonious for your relationships. Venus is benefic and traveling through the 7th house of partnerships. It's going to have a really nice influence there, but you might just feel, as that opposes your rising, yourself, your image, you might just feel like, oh gosh, do I have to give up a lot of myself, or do I have to sacrifice a lot of myself for this person? But overall, it feels like you may be dating or engaging with people that you're very much in alignment with. Gemini rising, the full moon on the 20th of October in Aries is in your 11th house of alliances and networks and basically friendship groups. That is going to be opposing confrontational Mars in the 5th house, where you may have alliances with people you're creative with, children if you have them, mother-parent groups you're part of, father-parent groups you're part of, things that are a community of people that are also either linked to your children or your creative pursuits, or if you're dating someone who's also part of your social circle. Watch out for passions rising, tensions rising. You may be a little bit more moody with people in these sectors of your life around that time, or this Mars in the 5th house of dating opposing this full moon in your house of alliances. You might, around the 20th of October, just find yourself being more like forceful with opinions on dates even. You may even find like your network of friends are even more aggressive towards you around the 20th of October. Well, Gemini rising, have a great month this month in October, and I will see you soon. Cancer rising, there is a new moon on the 6th of October, and it is conjoining with Mars, and this is happening all in your 4th house of home and living situation. This is making you feel very defensive about your family, very protective of your family, very protective of your roots and like where you come from, your ancestry. You are feeling motivated with Mars here to be brave around something to do with your family. This seems to involve even just people that you live with at this time, if it isn't directly your family member. Cancer rising, for the cardinal rising signs like yourself, October is going to be a little more tense and challenging when it comes to conversations that might take place. Mercury is retrograde, and that is in your 4th house of home and living. Okay, you might feel the need to be a little kind of matriarchal, patriarchal around the house, kind of bossy, kind of domineering. That can be the energy of this Mercury retrograde here in the 4th house. This can maybe intensify all the way through to the 14th of October, especially around the 9th and 10th. But I think basically there is some sort of an issue this month, over the course of the month, where you are going to need to speak out to your family, to the people you live with, about your career and where you are going. Like, so you are prepared that there may be an opposition in your home life or where you live with your kind of career life and where you're going. You might need to kind of talk to your family and say, oh, I'm thinking about going for a job opportunity somewhere. This is going to perhaps involve us having to relocate. Would you be aware, or would you be open to that? Things like that might come up. The 20th of October, there is this full moon in your house of career, Cancer rising. So this is going to be like the most public part of your chart. So you're going to really kind of feel maybe a culmination, a turning point, or even an ending in something to do with your career. This more difficult aspect can be aided and mitigated by the fact that Venus is moving into your Sagittarius 6th house of daily routine and day job. Your routine, your day job, your routine, your day job may start to show signs of improvement. You may just feel like more optimism about being around your colleagues again. You have more optimism about actually the task of working and your chores, and it doesn't even seem so bad. Work doesn't seem so bad, like you're really enjoying it. Something is getting easier and better there. Maybe because of this Venus transit through the 6th house of routine, you'll actually find something that you're able to let go of, or something that you can change in your daily life or work that is able to aid bringing about something to a close around the 20th of October, when the full moon occurs in your 10th house of career. The new and full moon this month for Cancer rising, happening between your 4th house on the 6th of October, that's home and living and house and ancestry and roots, and your 10th house full moon on the 20th of October in Aries, which is all going to be to do with your career and your public reputation. To me, this month represents relocation for some in a bigger way, or if not, using your money or using your resources for making home improvements. That's what I've got for you, Cancer rising. Have a great month. Leo rising, we begin October with a new moon on the 6th in the sign of Libra, and this is happening in your 3rd house of communication and thinking. So you will have a motivation around the beginning of the month to share your thoughts and to share your ideas. However, Mercury is retrograde in that same house in Libra. So Mercury retrograde in the 3rd house for you, Leo rising, could really result in a greater likelihood for miscommunications to occur, because you have increased mental faculties at this time too, because Mars is there. Mars, Sun and Moon all together in the same place in Libra in Leo rising's 3rd house on October 6th. So you're going to have a lot more mental energy, a lot more motivation to do things that involve editing. Studying is also good at this time, and because it's Mercury retrograde, why don't we use the time to adjust, review rather than pushing ahead and releasing or starting something new. Review old projects and things that need editing could go really well for you around the beginning of the month, from the 6th to the 10th, 11th of October. Around this time, especially maybe 8th to 11th, let's say, there is a greater likelihood for things like data to be miscommunicated, analysis to be kind of down, and especially for content creators, you may be finding yourself like having to catch up or review, because content creation is all 3rd house, okay? And this is where this Mercury retrograde is occurring for you. The good news is about this mentally stimulating transit, however, is that you are going to have a barrage of brand new insights and downloads. You're very inspired, but things are becoming clear, you're understanding things, so it is a good time to write things down at this time, because downloads are coming through for you around now. Venus, the planet of love and harmony, moves into Leo rising's 5th house of dating, fun, creative self-expression, sex and romance. This is good news. Over the next 4 weeks, you may feel yourself being more received well by the other, the opposite sex, or you kind of are sort of feeling yourself becoming more charming, and everybody is gravitating towards you more. People are maybe asking you out on dates, people are asking you for your phone number, things like this. So this is all good news. Aries in the 9th house is where there's going to be a full moon taking place on the 20th of October, and that is going to be opposite Mars in the 3rd house. Okay, so this is going to maybe represent a turning point around the 20th. If there was any drama, maybe drama with siblings, maybe drama with like family members or people in your community or neighborhood. Closure around beliefs at this point and differing views and opinions. That seems to have been maybe the source of any drama. Different points of view, different opinions, and now we're reaching closure and a turning point around this. On the 18th of October, Saturn moves direct in your 7th house, Leo rising. Okay, so this is actually linking really positively with that Venus transit in the 5th house. So that's going to be sextile the Saturn moving direct, harmonious and opportunity increasing aspect on the 18th of October. So from the 8th of October to the 18th of October and beyond, things that are going well around dating, love and romance and joy are kind of set to continue. If you have been revisiting any relationship qualms or strife or delays or setbacks in your business relationships or your marriage or your close romantic relationships, Leo rising, from 18th of October, when Saturn moves direct in your sister sign Aquarius, this is when things are going to be moving forward again around those important relationships and kind of less obstacles. You've thought over everything now, you've readjusted, maybe you've made some endings. When Saturn is retrograde in Leo rising's 7th house of business, partnerships and romantic relationships, that's been happening since May. So Leo rising, you may have had a significant relationship wrap up between business or romantic, between, or even a friendship between May and October, and now you're ready to move on and push forward for the most part. I get the impression that there could be challenges this month, Leo rising, between like these ideas you want to share and people that who will be receiving them, like your colleagues or siblings even, or people that you see on a day-to-day. I just get the sense that you are, and this is more intuitive really, like looking at this month, I just feel like you've got a lot to say, you want to say. Mercury is retrograde, Mars is also in Libra, so things get confrontational, and you may be just like, you know, ready to start feeling better about your daily routine, and it's kind of been a bit lackluster, so you may kind of like snap at people that you see a lot or see often. It's kind of that energy of like biting the hands that feeds us, hurt the ones you love almost. Watch out for that during this Mercury retrograde also. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Virgo rising, great month ahead, I think, for finances and investing. So we open the month Virgo rising with the new moon on the 6th of October, and that's going to be in your Libra second house of finances, personal income and wealth and assets. So it might be a really good time around the 6th, 7th of the month to initiate investing, buying. I don't know if you buy gold, you buy crypto, you buy assets, whatever it may be. This is not financial advice by any means, but the new moons represent portals, new beginnings, and good times for manifestation or initiating. And it's happening in your house of finances, so this might be a time where you're thinking more about initiating, you know, focusing on money matters, how you make money, how you spend it. Virgo rising, while Mercury retrograde can point out inconsistencies in our spending, and this is happening in your second. So Virgo rising, you may have this greater desire to invest, to buy, to purchase, and Mercury retrograde does warn us against making any serious impulse buys or unwise spending, okay? So while you'll have the desire to do this, check in with yourself, read the labels, read the warranties, check in the market, is this a good time to invest? It's a good time to even chat with financial advisors rather than making moves. But now, October, Virgo rising, is a really good time to make plans around your finances and investments and sort of see where they're going, and Mercury retrograde allows time to point out any inconsistencies with your investments or your spending, how you spend money, how you make it, okay? Arguments around money are more likely to come up around this time as Mercury retrograde and Mars, planet of confrontation, are both happening and transiting through your second house of money, of course. As Venus, the planet of luxury and spending and comfort, transits through your 4th house of living situation and home, you may feel the desire to spend that money on luxury, items, on kind of like redoing your home, on making your surroundings more salubrious, but you do have the desire to spend time in luxury this month around a spa, in a swimming pool, just relaxing in gorgeous surroundings. Money matters are continuing this month, but they become part of something that you may be shared with, or money is remaining the focus for the rest of the month and for a bigger part. So towards the end of the month, Virgo rising, the shift turns away from just your personal finances and your income and your own money in the bank to something that is shared. So shared resources you have with a business partner, with a person that you're in a relationship with, become more of a focus at this time. There is a full moon, which represents a turning point, a culmination phase, or even an ending in your 8th house of inheritance and shared wealth. And that might just be turning the focus there in a bigger way, and you're wrapping something up with somebody. Maybe you and a business partner are taking out or withdrawing funds from a company or shared resource or something like that, or a person that you are tied up with financially. You might be splitting money, or you might be taking a share or cutting a profit or something like that in a bigger way towards the end of the month, around October 20th in particular. Overall, I just kind of get the sense, Virgo rising, that this is a great month just to be yourself, be you. There might even be a bigger opportunity this month, and this is more of just an intuitive feeling I'm having right now, where like you're put to the test where you have to be yourself, to stand up and be your true self. So I think that an opening might happen this month where you are. It doesn't seem like a test though, it seems like an opportunity to say like, this is who I am, this is what I'm standing by. I overall see that your plans are good, your money is good, you're making good investments, you're thinking about the future. Have a great month, Virgo rising, and I will see you soon. Libra rising, opening the month with the new moon in your sign. The sun, moon and Mars are all in Libra, hanging out there around the 6th of October and beyond. So Mars is here. We know that new moons are times for initiation, manifesting, setting a goal. Mars is giving that extra drive and oomph to do that. And it seems like it's setting a goal about how you are identifying yourself in the world, how you're presenting yourself to the world, and kind of like maybe it's something to do with your image, maybe it's something to do with how you see the world. You're like, I'm ready to change something up. I'm ready to take on new information and have my perspective be changed in some way. It seems like overall, beginning of this month, 6th, 7th of October, Libra rising is just concerned with putting their best foot forward and presenting themselves well. 9th and 10th, there is this more of a fusion of Libra energy, and you may just sort of see these themes continue around them. Libra rising on the 9th and 10th of October, Mercury retrograde conjoins the Sun in Libra, and this is really making you want to point out something that affects you directly. It can also affect others, but I'm mainly feeling like the self, like this affects me specifically, and you know what, it probably affects others in society too, right? Because we're kind of an amalgamation of all of the collective, but you're like, if this affects me, this is bound to affect other people, and I need to speak out about this. The Libra Mercury retrograde in your 1st house is really making you want to be sure that you are not misrepresenting yourself to anybody else, that you are very clear about the image you're putting out there. It just like Mercury retrograde in the 1st house for you Libra rising is just saying like, don't make any mistake about when you're introducing yourself, like don't give the wrong impression. It's kind of about like, you know, am I in alignment with myself, looking back and reviewing actions you've made recently and conversations you've had, and like, are they really and truly in alignment with me going forward? On the 18th of October, Saturn finally moves direct after a 5-month retrograde in Libra rising's Aquarius, 5th house of creativity, joy, fun, self-expression, and anything we birth into this world, children or creative pursuits or projects. So over the last 5 months, Libra rising from around May, would you have felt that there has been any slowdown, setbacks, delays or restrictions around your creative self-expression? Have you been having like limits with your relationship with your children? Have you felt there's a limit to what you are gaining in terms of your creative output? That's all set to move forward and expand as Saturn moves direct. The retrograde of Saturn was necessary to really refine and set boundaries around things in your creative pursuits, or around the lives of your children potentially if you have them, that you know just weren't necessary anymore, that were kind of overall limiting, and now you're just kind of ready to let go of all limits and push forward with something creatively Libra rising. There is a full moon on the 20th of October in your 7th house of signal significant relationships. This full moon in Aries on the 20th of October for you Libra rising may represent a turning point or even an ending in terms of a significant partnership, romantic relationship, or friendship. It doesn't have to be one of these things ending necessarily like in the literal sense, but maybe a behavior or a like some sort of a situation or like pattern in your relationship is coming to an end or reaching a turning point. The fourth house is trining the eighth house for you Libra rising. So that's the fourth house of family, home in Capricorn, trining your Taurus eighth house of shared resources and intimacy. So home and living overall seems very stable this month. There isn't too much going on in those houses. So if you have been feeling more tension or like coming and going or uprooting or uplifting in those areas of your life, things seem to be stable. Inheritances or might even become stable, or just something to do with your home and living situation, Libra rising, becomes more stable for whatever reason this month. Have a great month, Libra rising. See you soon. Scorpio rising, after a more social couple of months, the 6th Scorpio rising, we open the month with a very quiet new moon in your 12th house of mental health, retreat, and solitude. You probably are feeling, after more social transits in the last month of September, you're probably feeling a greater need now to take some quiet time to reflect and maybe withdraw from the world. The 6th of October new moon in your 12th house, Scorpio rising, is a really good time to initiate and make a serious plan here about your mental health, about your spirituality, about your meditation and your reflection, and how you but basically can be calm in solitude. That's all 12th house themes. This kind of desire and need for reflection, for quiet time, and for withdrawal intensifies and continues, especially around the 9th and 10th when Mercury retrograde will be conjunct the Sun in your 12th house. That's going to really make you just want to kind of like, I don't want to say anything Mercury retrograde because what I say is going to come out wrong. I'd rather just sit on it, see how I feel in a couple of weeks, and wait until any likelihood for miscommunication has passed. You're not in a real rush this month, Scorpio rising. You actually have a stronger desire for quiet time and alone time. Venus, the planet of luxury and spending, moves into your 2nd house of money matters and finances on the 8th of October. This is generally a good transit overall for gaining some money and seeing the numbers in your bank balance increase, or seeing perhaps some investments or stocks or perhaps assets or cryptos you've invested in. You may see them improving, you may see your personal finances improving. At the same time, Venus through the 2nd house, as we see these money issues improving, Scorpio rising, we start to think, maybe I should spend some more money. Venus encourages us to spend. So if you were having the desire to actually save money or invest, October is presenting a really good time to do it, and how you could do that is by simply not spending, because it seems like for some reason finances are improving. So if you can avoid spending at the same time, you may find yourself in a better position come November. At the same time, Mercury is retrograde, so we can make impulse buys and purchases. Mercury is the planet of commerce and sales. So sometimes we can buy faulty items even, so always be checking on the warranty and whatnot. Scorpio rising, we have got Mercury and Saturn. Both planets will station direct from their retrograde motion on the 18th of October. That's when we're going to see plans moving forward now. Mercury only had a quick 3-week retrograde. Mercury had a quick 3-week retrograde, so you're ready to start having conversations again. You're ready to start kind of socializing and kind of like integrating yourself in conversations again. Saturn, however, has just finished by the 18th of October a 5-month retrograde, and that has been happening. This Saturn retrograde has happened in Scorpio rising's 4th house of family, ancestry, home, and living situation. You may have felt like where you live right now, who you live with, it doesn't have to be family, it could be roommates, but anyone you live and share a home with, there has been more limits here, delays and obstacles, setbacks, and you haven't really been able to make plans for the future in terms of these areas of life, 4th house areas. So maybe some of you have wanted to move, but there's just been a lot of limits there. This has been necessary, and Saturn's retrograde here in the 4th house has been purposeful. It has encouraged you to see what you actually do not need and what actually you thought you needed in terms of what you needed in your home and living situation versus what you can actually very much do without. Now, more productively and efficiently, Saturn direct movement asks us, so Scorpio rising people, to move forward with things in a more efficient, pared back and minimalist way, and that could even be more of an interest in minimalist furniture or decor, or minimizing the space you thought you needed for whatever reason. All of that quiet time, mental health orientated 12th house activity may have even felt strenuous at times. Like, extra focus on our mental health doesn't always manifest as something that's easy. That's why meditation has been really extra important for the month of October for Scorpio rising. There is a full moon representing a turning point, culmination, or ending in the sign of Aries, which is in Scorpio rising's 6th house of physical body health. So at this point, you may actually physically be able to see a turning point in the physical body due to the practices you've put in place around the 6th, 7th of October and beyond, around your mental health. For example, I'm seeing kind of Virgo rising. For example, Scorpio rising. Around the 6th or 7th, you may have initiated gentle stretching in the evenings. That has turned into, by the 20th of October, the full moon turning point, like more toned muscle definition, and that lower back pain that was kind of like linked to your stress and tight hip flexors is now gone, and the turning point of the full moon, like in the physical health body section of your chart, is like, I feel so much better. This mental health practice has turned into something more. Okay, so that's just an example of what that 12th house, 6th house turning point can look like. Overall though, Scorpio rising, the 12th house represents ego death in a way, and I do see the need, and this is just kind of me picking up something now intuitively, like for a kind of death rebirth of the ego again this month. I really think Scorpio rising, if there's any time, no time like right now with these transits, like get serious about your spiritual practice. 12th house is the house of spirituality and transcendence and meditation, and it might be a really powerful time to meditate and go inwards. That is really quite true during a Mercury retrograde, because it's not a great time to initiate or be vocal or confront. It's a time to edit, review, and reflect inwards to see what's important to talk about when the Mercury retrograde is over. I really get the sense that this ego death rebirth that happens with all this 12th house activity and this spiritual practice, like around the 20th of October, this Aries full moon in your 6th house of physical body, like I see you, Scorpio rising. Ego death rebirth, new confident, more confident version of yourself emerging by the 20th of October. Have a great month, Scorpio rising. See you soon. Sagittarius rising, Venus moves into your 1st house and into your Sagittarius 1st house of physical appearance and kind of how the world sees you. So this is going to be really good. For the next 4 weeks, you're going to be more charming, more likable, and people will want to speak to you. People will want to know what you're offering, your services, your products, all kind of Venusian offerings are going to be just more delectable. You are going to be more attractive by the opposite sex or any partners that you're trying to attract. On the 6th of October, there is a new moon in the sign of Libra, and for Sagittarius rising, that is in your 11th house of community, network, teams, groups and organizations and alliances that you're a part of. This is going to be a really positive time to initiate new alliances. You may feel new connections emerging. You may feel at this time like expanding your circle, you're expanding your network and any kind of 11th house groups or teams or committees that you may be a part of. Around the 9th and 10th of October, this energy is just building up as Mercury retrograde conjoins the Sun in your 11th house of Libra Libra for Sagittarius rising. So you're just going to be feeling like more busy, but there's going to be more conversations taking place, but you're like trying to find clarity now. When the Sun and Mercury conjoin, it's called a Kamizi, and the Sun-Mercury retrograde Kamizi is going to represent now all of those miscommunications of late September, early October thus far, around the 9th before the 9th and 10th of October, are starting to reach their turning point. Mercury is kind of going to start to turn back, to start to get back on its route towards moving direct again. So we kind of feel like things are becoming clearer now, and like any kind of maybe miscommunications with friendship groups or bigger, larger communities or organizations you've been a part of are getting a little easier. So the 20th of October represents a full moon turning point culmination phase in your Aries 5th house of dating. So romance kind of gets interesting around now, I think. I do think that this full moon in Aries is representing for Sagittarius rising either a make or break situation concerning someone they're dating. Either this full moon around the 20th of October for Sagittarius rising represents a turning point, like yes, here's a key, we're moving in, or officially asking out or making something more official, or it's going to represent the other, the break. This full moon, okay, it was nice knowing you, but I think we've learned all we can from each other, and now we're ready to move on. Have a great month, Sagittarius rising, and speak to you soon. Capricorn rising, we have a new moon and a lot of energy in your 10th house of career and public reputation around the 6th and 7th of October, and it really intensifies all the way through the first part of the month. The new moon in Libra in your 10th house of career represents an opening, a door or a portal opening energetically for you to begin something new around your career. So it might just be getting recognized by a new person on the team, or it might be just some new idea that you have about like how you can open up more opportunities. And Mars there as well, conjoining the Sun and Moon in Libra around the 6th of October, is giving you that extra oomph and drive. Be careful. Mars here in Libra is also squaring your Capricorn ascendant, so this can kind of make you a little bit more aggressive. Maybe it could make a greater propensity for like arguments to happen with your business associates, with people that you're like work professionally with, or even like around your overall public reputation. And just watch out for being maybe too aggressive there with the Mars squaring your image, okay? Capricorn rising, there is a greater fusion of energy around your career sector, the 10th house of your chart in October. We've got like kind of new beginnings happening, new possibilities emerging, but at the same time, it's putting tension on your home life or your family life. So maybe it's a fact of like there's so many new opportunities occurring in the work situation that it's kind of putting strain on the people you live with. You might not be able to spend as much time with the person that you're living with, or your family, and or your roommates, or for whatever reason it's just causing some stress at home, and it's leading up to a turning point around that time. As much as things are taking off in your career, I really kind of get the sense of like big turning points for you, Capricorn rising, this month, like new beginnings around the beginning of the month, and like that encourages other parts of your life to wrap up and end for some reason, or reach a culmination phase around the 20th of October. So while you're getting so noticed at work, or things just seem to be like new possibilities expanding around your career and reputation, because Venus moves into your 12th house of mental health and retreat and solitude on the 8th of October, you still want to take some time for yourself, reflect, and be in solitude even. So that might be putting a bit of a strain, because you're really wanted and sought after. Aquarius rising, we are opening the month with a exciting new moon in Libra on the 6th of October, and that's happening in Aquarius rising's 9th house of foreign culture, distant travel, higher education, bigger picture thinking. So really the mundane won't be cutting it this month. You're making plans for travel, you're immersing yourself in different cultures, and if you can't do that physically, mentally you're far away from the mundane, and you're feeling a lot more sociable this month, Aquarius rising. Venus will move into your 11th house of friendship groups, alliances, community and networking. So think about the collective that you're a part of. If you're a part of any committees or teams or organizations or like online communities even, you're feeling like more desire to get in touch with these people. I think overall, Aquarius rising, you're just feeling more sociable. It may be less about a one-to-one relationship that you're putting your focus on. You might be feeling more comfortable like in party scenes or bigger groups with more people even. The biggest thing though for me about this month, Aquarius rising, is that Saturn finally moves direct after its 5-month retrograde in Aquarius, in your first house, your sign, Aquarius rising. So that's been big. So basically, you have been wanting to be liberated from basically everything in your life that causes limits. Let's think Saturn themes: limits, delays, restrictions and obstacles, and time, endurance, effort, grind, and like grafting, right? So over the last 5 months, Saturn retrograde Aquarius rising has been basically just asking you to literally pare down everything, every single thing that's holding you back from your ultimate liberation and really reinvention, because Saturn in the first house is talking about like what are the limits to how we can present ourselves to the world. Saturn retrograde said, okay, I'm looking at these limits and I'm breaking some of them down. I'm actually liberating myself from anything, anybody, any place that is restricting me and holding you back, basically, so that you can just really re-emerge as a new version of yourself now that Saturn stations direct on October 18th. Whew, just a little intense there, you know. So on the 20th then of October, we have a full moon in the sign of Aries, and for Aquarius rising, that's going to be in your 3rd house of thinking, communication style, more short distance travel, and rather than 9th house axis, big picture, foreign travel, far away locations, we're bringing it back to the community and to our neighborhood now and to our locality. But let's just think about this in terms of what this could represent. Okay, so a full moon represents as a turning point, a culmination phase, or even an ending. There might have been something around the new moon and this kind of big picture, if some of you got to travel, that has now influenced and changed and represented a turning point, full moon, in the way you think, in the way you see things, perspective, like you've been enriched, you have more wisdom after the 9th house new moon that you can now apply more locally and confine it to your locality or like your immediate surroundings in the 3rd house for Aquarius rising. Okay, have a great month, Aquarius rising. See you soon. Pisces rising, let's look at your month ahead, October 2021. So there is a new moon in Libra on the 6th of October. This is happening in Pisces rising's 8th house, and this is a very transformative, regenerative, healing and even cathartic new moon. Actually, it's pretty deep and intense. The 8th house is all of the deep, intense topics in our life, all there. So you might be sort of feeling like new ideas emerging around the new moon, and it kind of just basically is giving you an option now with Mars here too. Mars, the sun and moon on the 9th, 10th of October, all in the same place more or less in Libra, and Mars gives you that drive and oomph to really say, okay, what do I need to heal? What do I need to transform? It's a little bit more of a psychological new moon this month for you, Pisces rising, and kind of like doing some healing work or transformative work. At the same time, it's alleviated pretty nicely. This kind of more intense lunar activity is alleviated a little nicely by Venus moving into the 10th house for you, which is into Sagittarius. So on the 8th of October, Venus moves into Sagittarius, into Pisces rising's 10th house of career and public reputation. So really, the intense lunar activity around the new moon and going as far as like the 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th of October, Pisces rising begins to get alleviated by Venus moving into your 10th house. It's a really positive place for Venus to transit. On the 8th of October, Venus moves into Sagittarius, which will be transiting Pisces rising's 10th house of public reputation, just like highlights of your life and like your most public facing point of view. And like, so I feel like around this time, it's like a really beneficial time for your career, for your reputation, and like for your legacy basically. So things that are initiated now during this short 4 weeks transit may put you in touch with like people that are going to benefit your career, people that are going to benefit like your legacy, or like what you become known for overall, Pisces rising. Yeah, it's gonna be a really positive time. But I don't know, I can't stop thinking about the lunar activity, like all this 8th house activity when everything is going on in Libra this month for you, Pisces rising. Like I sense huge, like kind of death, rebirth, but like things or events happening that are cathartic, and they might even be very, very like micro level, like you're not even really noticing. It's not like a big massive event or anything like that, but little things might be creeping up in your psyche that like are really imploring you to sort of dive a little deeper and transform and heal through that. Full moon on the 20th of October in your Aries 2nd house for Pisces rising. Okay, yeah, that's probably kind of good. That's probably representing a turning point around your finances, something finally coming to fruition, it could feel like, or you're getting the sense like that things might be wrapping up in an area of your life concerning like your personal income or your own assets. Yeah, and that might have even started being initiated around the 6th, 7th of October, around that new moon in your 8th house, and that's on the axis to your 2nd house. So maybe there were 8th house is shared resources, so maybe you have shared finances or resources or something packed in with another person in the 8th house, and something is shifting and changing where maybe things are turning a different way, and that you're getting more of like just an individual payout from this or something. So all of this cardinal activity in the month of October, we'll look at your cardinal planets. Okay, so Cancer in your 5th house and 11th house is Capricorn for you, Pisces rising. So this is squaring that Libra and Aries new and full moon respectively. So squares cause tension, but it's how we generate growth, by overcoming the challenges that are presented during squares and square aspects. And so this is all kind of there's kind of your 5th house and 11th house are being squared by all the planets in Libra until around the 12th of October. More intensity kind of coming up now, especially around 5th house creative pursuits and 11th house allegiances and networks, especially if you combine those two. So say if you work on a big creative team, that would be combining the 5th house and 11th house basically. So if that's applying to anybody, there might just be some sort of an overhaul in friendships, 11th house, even an overhaul in what you're doing like creatively or how you're expressing yourself. And even more so this will be felt if this is all kind of like all of this is influenced and sandwiched together somehow, especially if it's a way you make money, because that's your 2nd house and your 8th house coming through too. Okay, Pisces rising, have a great month and see you soon.